All right, I'm going to show you guys how to do exercise number 2, which is using the bump switch. That's the one that looks like a button and should hopefully already be installed on your test bed. So here we go. The assignment that we're trying to accomplish is right here. This one, bump switch assignment. Program the right motor and the LED light to turn on as soon as you start the program, which means you're not going to use a wait command. Then the motor should stop and the LED should turn off after the bump switch is pressed. Okay, so we're going to need to do some steps to set up here for our bump switch, and then you're going to need to learn a couple new directions in Robot C. We're going to go ahead and get started here. So the first thing we need to do is open up a program. So you're going to go back to File, Open Sample Program. Make sure it says VEX2 up here. If it doesn't, you just click this little triangle and find VEX2. Scroll down and find PLTW, PLTW template, and here we go. So the first thing we need to do is set up our motors. Your motors should be plugged into port 1 and 10. So I'm going to put right motor here, VEX269, left motor here, VEX269. Don't need to worry about reversing them. All right, now we do need to set up our sensor, which is the bump switch. So we're going to click digital sensors. Make sure you click digital, not analog. We want digital. Our bump switch should be plugged into DGTL1. So I'm just going to call it bump and change this to touch. It's a touch sensor, not a bump switch in this part. Click apply and OK. Now I'm going to go back here and check and make sure that my language is set up correct. So I'm going to go to platform type. VEX 2.0 Cortex is what I want, but my natural language PLTW is not checked, so I'm going to make sure I go ahead and check that. Robot, VEX Cortex, compiler target, make sure it's on physical robot, and now we are ready to go. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot one more thing. Going to go back to motor and sensor setup. We need to set up our LED light. So your LED light should be plugged into DGTL3. I'm just going to call it light. And I want to change this to VEX LED. Go ahead and apply and OK. And now I'm all, oh, I put I thought I pushed L. Let's go back there and fix that. All right. Okay, so now you need to learn what commands we use for the LED and for the bump switch. So in this slideshow here, you can find out that there are two ways to turn on a bump switch. Okay, you want to use this command until bump, and then you can either use the name of the bump switch, bump 1, or you can use the port, DGTL1. Just like when you want to start or stop a motor, you can use the name of the motor or the port it's plugged into. Now this 500 is important. Kids often want to put in 0 or don't put that in there at all. It's very important. It's like a delay as to how long you have to push the bump switch until the program recognizes it. And the reason it's important is when you press this switch, if you have 0 here, the program will try and go so fast that sometimes it'll read it. If you have multiple until bumps, it'll read a bunch, like multiple ones at the same time. And it really can mess up your program. So the reason it's so high is because it's in milliseconds, thousandths of a second. So 500 milliseconds is half a second, which seems to be a great number. So that's why you want to do that. So in other words, you have to push the button for half a second in order for the program to recognize it as being pushed. It's very important. You don't want to play around with this number. Just stick with 500. So if you go back to Robot C, you can click on Natural Language, and until bump is right here. All right. Now I called mine bump. In the slideshow, it said bump 1. Whatever you call it, is what you can put in sensor port, or you can put in the port number. So I've got DGTL1 or bump. I can use either one. So I'm just going to use bump. And then again, always use 500. Just get in the habit of using that. It will help out your program tremendously. Don't put 0 in there. It will mess up your program. All right. I got to go back and look at my assignment here. What was I supposed to do for the assignment? It says, so the right motor and LED are going to turn on when I start the program, and then they'll stop after the bump switch is pressed. So I actually don't want to start with the bump. I just wanted to show you where to find that. This is actually going to be down a little bit because you'll want to start your motor first, then turn on your LED, then until bump, then the motor should stop and the LED should turn off. So how do you turn an LED on? You want to go here to Special, turn LED on. Again, you can use your port number or the name. So I can use light or DGTL3. So I'm just going to put in light because that's what I called mine. To turn it off, it's right here, turn LED off. Now I'm not going to give you the entire answer to this assignment. You're going to have to figure out some of it on your own, but those are the commands you'll need to know. Turn LED on, until bump, turn LED off. Those are the new commands. You just need to put everything in the correct order so that the right motor and LED turn on. Then you press the bump switch. Then the motor stops and the LED turns off. Once you get your assignment done, raise your hand, let me know, and I will come by and check it.